Before this video starts, guys, I just want to make a quick announcement. This video is kind of long and it encompasses a lot of little ideas, a lot of little tips and tricks about sweats and trials and pubs in general, all those type of game modes, about decision making, when to push, when to pop supers, when to go for revives and trials, when not to, all that good stuff. So it's a very detailed video, so it's I'm going to leave numbers up here of when certain topics are talked about, so since it's a little long. But anyway, I'm going to let you get into the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoy, and peace out. What's up, guys, it's Orange, and today I'm bringing you a new series to my channel called Crucible Bootcamp. And in this series I will be going over specific topics, and in this video I'm going to be telling you about a certain topic, which is going to be decision making, and it's going to help you get better at the Crucible. Now, if you're a new player to the game, or a person that's been playing for a while and is a casual, just wants to get better, or you're a competitive sweat player, whatever you are, this video should help you to some degree. Obviously, if you're new to the game, it's probably going to help you a lot more than if you're a very high skill player. But hopefully this video is helpful, and if you enjoy, please leave a like and comment down below. Now, in this video, we'll be talking about decision making. Now, decision making in the Crucible is one of the biggest things. That's why I'm starting the series off with this for episode 1. Now, as I said before, this is going to be a series, so I'm going to make my own for episodes like 2 and 3, but I'm going to start taking suggestions from people in the comments on what topics they want more explanation about. So if you want to learn how to bait a shotgunner, or how to snipe better, or stuff like that, anything, comment down below. As I said, I'm going to be making some of my own, but I'm also going to be taking user or subscriber suggestions. So feel free, if there's any topics you want me to discuss, I'll try to make my best video about that. So into decision making. So what exactly is decision making? That's really deciding whether or not you're going to push really aggressive with your super, when you're going to pop a super, are you going to leave an engagement, are you going to stay in an engagement, are you going to fall back for help for your teammates, or do you think you can handle the situation? Now, decision making in sweats, and decision making in trials, and decision making in pubs are all going to be very different. Now, let's just start off with each different type of game mode. So in trials, because that's probably the most played game mode, and that's probably what most of y'all are interested in anyways. So Trials of Osiris, decision making. There's a few things you have to decide on. You have to decide where you're going to go, as in like what routes are you going to take. Are you going to stay together as a group, or are you going to split up? Now, for most teams, the better you are, I think the easier it is going to be to split up and pull flanks and procedures like that. But for most people, I would recommend staying together in groups and stay away from splitting off for a flank unless you really think it's going to work, or you think it would be the best decision. So that was probably pretty obvious to most people, but this one is a little different. It's going to be when to pop supers and when to revive teammates, or when to stay in an engagement. So starting off with supers, when should you pop your super in trials? Me personally, I pop my super about as soon as I get it, on the same round, at the same time. Because if you get it in round 2 or round 3, let's say you're doing it really well, if you get a lot of kills, then you can probably use it early and then get it again for twice in the same game if you're doing well. If you're not that great at trials, you're probably only going to get your super once, and therefore I would try to save it for a crucial situation. I would use it to shut down another super if you're getting carried or something. If you're really not going to do much with the super anyway, I would use it as a failsafe, as a get out of jail free card instead of an aggressive move. If you're a little more confident, I would then use it as an aggressive move. If you're doing pretty well, if you're dominating the other team 2-0 at the time, and you have like a 5 kill streak, I would just use your super to get another round under your belt and then go 3-0, and then you'll probably get your super again if it goes into like a 3-4 or 4-4 game at the end. So definitely try to get your super twice a game, and by doing that, if you start off with a really good game, you're going to have the opportunity to get it again most likely. So when exactly should you pop a super when an engagement starts? Now, I can tell you what you definitely don't want to do, and that is don't pop your super as soon as the round starts. If you just spawn in and pop your golden gun, or pop your hammers, or pop your blade dancer, and then go try to chase down your enemies on the other side of the map, you basically just wasted a super. Now, popping a super at the right time, where you're close enough to the enemy to where you actually kill them, but you're not too close to where they're going to kill you as soon as you pop it if it's a roaming super. You want to kind of be right next to your enemy, but don't be right where they can see you. And what I mean by this is, maybe if they're around a corner, pop it right on the edge of the corner and then push that corner. Now, you do have to be careful if they're sniping or shotgunning or crouched in a corner. If you do it that method and you do pop it right around the corner and then push around, if you're a blade dancer or a sunbreaker or a stormcaller, I'd recommend swiping to get across really fast so they don't expect you. Get across the screen really fast so a sniper may miss you. If you have a sun charge or ionic blink, to kind of get past that corner really quickly and then engage the enemy at full speed. So pop your super close, but not too close, and not far, because then if you have it far, you're probably going to get 0 kills, because the enemy team will probably run, especially if it's trials, because a lot of people in trials do not know how to shut down a super. Now, if you're playing sweats, it's a little different with your super. You know, a lot of people are gonna know how to shut down a super, especially if it's a blade dancer or something like that, a roaming super that doesn't have too much health and can be taken down by a shotgun melee or a headshot with a sniper, or just a good primary game, honestly. So it does depend on the game modes, but as I said, this video in this series is generally going to be catering more towards the Trials player, the pub player, not necessarily the sweat player. Although I will give some advice on that, but this is more for beginners to mid-level, to aspiring to be sweat players, something like that. So moving on to revives. Now revives, especially in Trials, as I said, I'm going to be focusing a lot on Trials in the series. As I said, a lot of people are probably focused on getting flawless, stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to try to help you with this series. Therefore, I'm going to talk a lot more about Trials and less about sweats. So revives and Trials and sweats are very different. A revive and a sweat is not that important, but a revive in Trials can make or break a game. Just because in sweats you can automatically revive, I'm assuming you're playing Clash or Skirmish in sweats, which is most typical for 3v3 game modes. You're going to want to stay away from revives in sweats a little more, just because of the ability for a team to farm that. And when I say farm, I mean get a res snipe off of, or literally just rush him with a shotgun and get him while he can't move. The guy that just spawned, who doesn't have his weapons ready, is just going to get destroyed. In Trials, though, it's a little different because you need your teammates because they don't respawn back. So it's a little more important to try to get revives in Trials. So I'm going to give you a few scenarios of when you should push, when you should stay back. So it's also going to depend on your skill level. If it's a 1v3 and you're the worst person on the team, let's say you're getting carried, let's say you're not that great, you seriously doubt you can pull off a 1v3. In that situation, there's not a lot you can do, but the best thing to do is probably try to get in the general area of your enemy's revive and try to push him with a shotgun, because I'm assuming you're probably going to be using a shotgun if you're not that great. You probably will not be sniping, but you do want to try to get in the general area and not just sit in the back of the map and let the other team charge supers. If you really do have no hope of destroying the other team and they're a really good team, let's say, you may just want to jump off the map. I wouldn't really recommend that, but if you really think you're not going to do anything and you don't want to let the enemy team build up supers, you can do that. So let me give you another scenario in Trials. Let's say it's a 3v3, of course, as elimination is. It just started. You go in and you have a teammate that died and you killed an enemy. So it's now a 2v2. Now here's the question. Do you go get your teammates revive, or do you go push the enemy in the 2v2 engagement? Now this is varies with every scenario. As I said, there's a lot of different situations that could happen in Trials, but I'm going to try to give you a few of the topics, or a few of the examples, because it's kind of impossible to give you every single situation in Trials. But if you do have any questions about this down below that you want for a specific example that may happen, or you may be confused about on exactly what to do, type down below in the comments and I'll give you my best answer for what I think you should have done or did correctly or incorrectly in that situation. Now, if it's a 2v2 and your teammate goes down and their teammate went down, first of all, it's going to depend on where their orbs are. If your teammate got sniped and he's right next to you, then I would just sit on your teammate's res and turn it into a 3v2. But if they traded snipes, it's going to be the same thing, so it's basically going to reset to a 3v3. But I wouldn't if you have the ability to easily get your teammate, I would not push overly aggressive to try to push the 2v2, because if you can get your teammate easily and the other team can get their teammate easily, they're probably going to get their res right as you're arriving to them to attack, so it's going to turn to a 3v2 at point blank range. And if they have shotguns on their team, that's probably going to result in a bunch of trades, therefore leaving you a man down when you trade all your shotguns. So I would recommend getting the res if possible, and that's basically a good rule of thumb. If you can get your res and it's not impossible to get, or they're not puppy guarding it or anything, or sitting on that res, I would go for it. If you're not that great of a player, if you're the one getting carried, definitely go for reses. If you're the better player on the fire team, or the one of the top players that's kind of carrying the team or whatever, you might want to push more aggressively if you have an enemy teammate down. But for the average player, I'd recommend getting teammates first, if you unless you think you really can push it. As I said, every scenario is different and it may be better for you to push it, but a general rule of thumb is, if you can get your enemies up and don't push. Get your enemy up first, or get your friend up first, and then push your enemy with all three of you. So that's about it for this when to push and stuff with Trials. That's going to wrap up that part of the video. Into the next part, when to push during sweats. Now this is a lot different. If it's a 2v2, I would recommend just going, because your teammate can respawn. It's not a necessity that you sit back. I would just engage as a 2v2 and tell your teammate to res up by himself, and then y'all could regroup then. So it's not as important to get revives. Now, if it's there and you don't feel like pushing it, if you think the other team is better than you and you need to enter into more 2v3 engagements or 3v2 engagements where you have 3 and the enemy team has 2 in order to win, then you can sit back, but I would recommend pushing a 2v2 generally in sweats. Now, when to pop super in sweats? Now, this is a little bit different. In trials, you could probably pop a super and try to 1v3 the other team basically with it, and not necessarily be there with the help of your team. But in sweats, you want to make sure your team is with you while you're using your super, because their team shots are going to be critical. Most sweat teams, if they know what they're doing, they know how to team shot a super and they'll probably kill it. So you have to have your teammates taking a little bit of the heat off of you, maybe killing an enemy while you're pushing, maybe only make it 2 people shooting at you, but you're going to need the help of your teammates when you pop your super. If you pop your hammers or your blade dancer or your stormcaller, you're going to get taken out of it very easily if the other team knows what they're doing. So make sure you pop your super around your teammates so they have your help, because you're going to need help in sweats. As I said, it's a lot different than trials. So just a quick recap of this video. I'm about to wrap it up because it is getting a little long. I may make a part 2 to this video if it's requested, if you want a little more detail in decision making. If this is enough detail in decision making, I probably won't make another video. If this video gets maybe 10 likes, 15 likes, and I see a reasonable amount of requests in the comments for another part 2 of this video, then I'll probably make one. But I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to say about decision making in this video. Just a quick recap, when to push, when to use supers, and what general strategy to do as a team. Now, in this video I said push in trials as a team if you're not that great. The less experience you have, the better it is that you stay as a group. In sweats, it doesn't really matter as much if you know what you're doing and you're an experienced player. If you feel confident to flank, go for it. That's up to your team if you know what you're doing. But I would say when you're flanking in sweats, make sure you're close enough to each other to where you can help each other. Don't flank the entire map. Flank maybe one passageway to the side, not the entire map, because you're not going to be able to help your teammate in that case, and it'll probably get 3v1 if the other team knows what they're doing. Now, when to pop your supers. And this goes for basically sweats and trials. Pop your supers when you're close enough to kill, but not too close where you're going to get shut down immediately. And in sweats, try to focus on being with your teammates when they pop their supers a little more than you would in trials. So that's about it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. If this helped you in any way, feel free to leave a like and a comment down below with any further questions. Let me know if you enjoyed this series. I plan to make a series out of this, as I said. I know this video is a little long, but hopefully you stayed to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed watching it. If you did stay to the end, I definitely appreciate that. And, as I said before, leave any questions down below. Hopefully you enjoyed, guys, and peace out.